start with an opening statement from Coach and go into questions. If you have a question, go ahead, raise your hand, get my attention. Coach.
Excited about the growth and development we saw from our football team on Saturday. Have had an opportunity to get back in and review the film with our team. Clearly, still a lot of areas that we look forward to improving upon as we continue to, develop as a football team. Incredible challenge ahead of us. With our first Big Ten contest this upcoming weekend. Travel out to Washington. Very good football team, well coached. I know they're coming off a difficult loss in a rivalry game, but it's going to be an environment that we're going to have to prepare well for this week. Work through some of the logistics of the length of travel, and prepare for a really talented opponent. That is a challenge that I know this team is looking forward to. Team will be back in, this evening to start and get into our base down game plan and have an opportunity to practice briefly tonight. It's a challenge that I know this group is looking forward to.
Coach, now that you've had a chance to look at the film, what are your impressions of Jack's first start?
Yeah, no, I mean, you could tell it was his first start in the first half, just in terms of getting into a rhythm and getting comfortable. But, really proud of the way that, he, managed, that 2-minute drive at the end of the first half, and the way that he came out in the second half. I mean, just his timing, his comfort level, his confidence, and you could start to see just the confidence building around him with his teammates. Excited about not only the growth that we've seen in Jack this last year, but really excited even just in terms of the maturing process we saw happen before our very eyes on Saturday night.
Coach, you're facing a veteran quarterback in Will Rogers this weekend. What have you seen from him on tape thus far, and what do you expect to see from him this weekend, and how can you prepare to sort of slow him down?
Yeah, I mean, really talented player, very experienced player. Performed at an extremely high level in his time at Mississippi State. He's within an offense at Washington that, he's really well coached. Coach Fish, the job that he's done for years, structuring offense and finding ways to stress defenses. You got a very talented, experienced quarterback with a really talented coaching staff. It's a scary operation. There's talent out on the perimeter, talent in the backfield. They're going to find ways to stress their opponent. We got to do a great job of forcing him to process post-snap, and we got to do a great job of affecting him in the pocket. If he's comfortable in the pocket, he's scary.
You got 2 block kicks in 2 games, and you've come close on some others. To what do you attribute that?
Yeah, some of it's just, effort and, guys playing really, really hard. Give our special teams staff, Coach Creighton and Coach Opsel and everyone that's working with that group, a lot of credit, especially in the Duke game of making some adjustments in game to give our guys that opportunity. But I think what you see is, whether it be Najee, as a defensive tackle that, typically defensive tackles aren't super locked in special teams meeting, but I think you got a group of guys, Dave, that are just, fully bought into every single rep, whether it be a offense, defense, or special teams rep. And the thing I'll give our staff a lot of credit, we do a lot of circuit work, especially in spring ball and fall camp, of working certain techniques and diving into those fundamentals that can create those opportunities. And, to see that showing up in production is really exciting.
Coach, nationally you're ranked with yardage, rushing yards allowed, less than 60, less than 3 yards a carry, 2.7, that's 6 nationally. And you attribute that to what?
Fundamentals, technique, really sound scheme, guys playing really hard. Guys never being satisfied with being blocked and just holding their gap. I mean, block destruction is so critical to that. It's amazing how you can play really sound defense, even with a lighter box, just with guys that are creating knockback and getting off of blocks. It's a credit to our front seven. It's a credit to our guys in the back end, we get our DBs involved in run fits frequently. Their tackling fundamentals and technique continue to show up, and as you know, Ted, I mean that's something that we're going to have to continue to do a great job of. And I know it sounds cliche, but it all starts off with fundamentals and technique, and there's no doubt that from a scheme standpoint, our staff's understanding of run fits and how they're structured is really high level.
You're coaching against Jed Fish again. Last time was North Dakota State for you and Arizona for him. Do you have any memories from that game and anything is there any translation to now, 2 years later?
Yeah, no, I think that's something that, we're, I mean, to answer your first question, I do have memories. They're not good ones. I mean, that was that was a tough loss on the road. I do remember walking away from that game, not only in the prep for the game, but also post game, just feeling like we were going against a really well coached operation that understood how to stress defenses. I thought the quarterback play was really high level and well coached, and it was that one was a tough one to swallow. Tremendous amount of respect for Coach Fish and his staff, and especially when you got a quarterback like Will that is as talented and as experienced as he is. We're gonna have to be at our best for sure.
Coach, you talked about the front seven. 7 guys have at least 1 sack. Kenny Soares Jr. has half a sack. You talk about the depth about all these different guys. You look at Dylan Roberts last week, for example. Guys picking up sacks. Can you just talk about the depth there? Yeah,
no, it's really exciting. I mean, it's something that I learned in my time at North Dakota State of how valuable it is to play with depth. You always talk about development, but especially with the D-line position, sometimes that development can really be forced just by having an unwavering belief that we're going to rotate guys in, keep them fresh. Those game reps start to add up. It builds confidence, and it's also a credit to Coach Smith, just his willingness to develop that entire room. I think sometimes the misconception is that sacks come off of just one individual's great pass rush ability, and in reality, sacks come from, number one, doing a good job in the back half of forcing the quarterback to process, having good coverage, but also working as a front four to build a pocket that keeps the quarterback in the pocket so we can finish. But again, I think Dylan Roberts' sack is a great example of just a room that just continues to improve not only individually but collectively.
You look like, speaking of depth, wide receiver was an area of great depth for you coming in, but now you lost Ricky. Frank went out the other night. What does that unit look like now from a depth standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, we're hopeful that we'll be able to get some of those guys back here in quick order. Hopeful that Frank will be able to go this week. I'm certainly glad that we've developed a lot of great depth in that room. The nature of Big Ten football is you're going to get nicked up as the season goes. But we're going to have to lean on that depth now more than ever as we look to get those guys back that do have an opportunity to get back here in short order.
Coach, Jack started the game about 3 for 12, but completed his last 11 passes. You mentioned you saw his maturity and his development over the course of the game. What do you need to do to make sure that he starts the game hot, especially going into a hostile environment like Seattle? Yeah, no,
it starts with practice habits, which Jack is always going to be, fully engaged and urgent and all those things. The environment is something that we need to prepare for and will prepare for, but it can't be an excuse or an explanation for us to not execute at a high level. And Jack, I'm fully confident we'll come in there with poise, with a lot of confidence, operate through the offense and have confidence in the guys around him. I think the thing that was fun to see, even when some of those passes early on weren't maybe hitting, just the confidence that he has in his teammates. He makes a really good throw to Marshall Lang on a 3rd down in a tight window. The ball that he puts up early to Bryce Kurtz, on a shot play. He's given Bryce a chance. Really good coverage by Eastern Illinois, but it comes down to great preparation and doing our best as a staff to prepare him and the entire group for the environment that we'll be walking into.
Started Nick Herzog at left guard week 1. He was out injured week 2. Cooper Lovelace subbed in, and he stayed there week 3, even though Nick seemed to be healthy. Can you walk us through your thought process there?
Yeah, no, I think just getting Nick back to back to full health, Nick is someone that we will continue to lean on, need to continue to lean on, is a huge part of that offensive line group's success and development. But, Cooper, to be honest with you, was just the guy that, had the most consistent practice because he was available, had played in the Duke game, had a full week of practice, walking into Eastern Illinois, and was our best option at that position for Eastern Illinois. But we'll continue to evaluate that spot. But what I can say with confidence is Cooper continues to bring a lot of value. Him bumping down from tackle to guard, I think he's done a really good job. But Nick is someone that we need to continue to utilize and find opportunities to get on the field as well.
So do you know which one will be starting versus Washington?
Not as we sit here right now, no.
Coach, I know it's a little different. You were out in Las Vegas for a week last year, but is there anything you've learned logistic-wise and travel-wise that you'll use going to Seattle this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off by saying, thank goodness for Alex Nisley and Jimmy Muslin and everyone in our support staff that handles all that. They take so much off of our plate. I mean, I remember the days I was at Winona State. I was the defensive coordinator and the travel coordinator. I mean, you're worried about making sure that everyone had enough food for pregame meal and getting ready to call a game. But honestly, David, I think the most critical thing is all the logistics that you're juggling, just trying to keep our guys in much of a consistent rhythm pregame as you possibly can. Giving them some time once we get into Seattle Friday night to just really unload, relax, enjoy some time with their teammates. Get back up Saturday morning, fully engage back into the game plan. All our meetings, walkthroughs, Friday script will be taken care of here in Evanston, but just keeping our guys in a consistent rhythm and routine.
Coach, going into this past Saturday, Jack had only thrown 11 career passes. How important was it for him to get that first career win and start at home under his belt ahead of a game in a hostile environment at Washington as a conference opponent?
Yeah, I think it was just really important for, we made the decision that we did. Really excited about the way that he performed, and especially just the way that he, remained resilient, confident, and steadfast in his reads and his progressions. And to be honest with you, something we talk about a lot, we want to understand our opponent, we want to respect our opponent. We want to study our opponent, but at the end of the day, the way that we move and operate through this week should be no different than the way that we moved and operated through last week. And then it's just applying the context to the environment we're going to be playing in. So there's going to be a different stimulus out in Washington. So we got to provide that stimulus in practice and make sure that our guys feel fully prepared to go engage in that environment. But, I think the more that you get into who your opponent is, yes, we want to understand, study, and respect, but at the end of the day, it comes down to our preparation, our process, and I think that's something our guys have really, have really bought into, and when you do that, now the things that are in your hands are the things that you actually can control. The things you're focused on are the things that you can control, and again, it's Big Ten football. We know the margins are tighter, but we just got to get back to work just like we did last week. Go have a great Monday followed by a great Tuesday, and through that preparation, building our confidence into game day.
Coach, we talked about the offensive line earlier, the variety there, and they've been excellent this year. Only one sack given up, going up against a Huskies defensive front that has 9 sacks already on the year. What do you think they need to do up front to protect Jack?
Yeah, no, I mean, gonna have to do a great job of just understanding their front structure. Coach Belichick does a great job. They're going to try and find ways to stress your protection. Very well thought out defensive scheme. Has the opportunity to create a lot of one-on-ones in pass protection. We're going to have to win on those one-on-one situations. Jack's going to have to do a good job of processing information and getting the ball out on time. But there's no doubt that that group defensively is very strategically structured, and they're going to find ways to put stress on your protection.
Coach, Mike and Will both spent time last year in the Mississippi State quarterback room. How can you use Mike as a defensive guy to kind of get an insight into how Will looks at the game and how he wants to attack you guys?
Yeah, no, I think those are conversations that are fun in the coaching profession, whether it be guys on staff that have coached with or coached against certain individuals in the past, and then in this case, guys that have been in the same position meetings and been on the same team, and there's nothing directly from a scheme standpoint that you're going to pick up on that, but just, a certain understanding of maybe, Mike's perception of I mean, he raves about Will. Has a lot of great things to say about him, but just understanding his temperament, his demeanor, the things that he really excels at that we got to be aware of are things that we'd be silly not to collect that information.
R.J. Pearson last year is kind of the fourth or sixth defensive tackle in the rotation. He's been one of your starters this year. What kind of progression have you seen from him in the offseason to earn that role, and then how has he executed it so far?
Yeah, I mean, really proud of RJ. Really proud of RJ. And again, we talk about being a developmental program, and a lot of the times that stems back to recruiting young men out of high school and developing them over the course of 4 or 5 years. But it also applies to our transfer recruiting. When you looked at RJ's film coming in, we were, in need of some defensive tackles. Going into last season, RJ had shown some flashes, in his time. But so proud of the way that he embraced. We knew he had 2 years left. He knew that he needed to continue to improve. He's fully invested in that opportunity. He's really taken to coaching. Coach Smith has done a great job with him. And we knew that it was within him, but the way that he has continued to improve fundamentally, technically, just the demeanor of play, his effort consistently, makes an incredible play against counter here against Eastern Illinois, just a block destruction effort play. I mean, that dude is playing at a really high level, and excited to see him continue to trend in that direction.
Coach, you talked on Saturday about how you felt Jack got more comfortable in that 2-minute drill because he had to stop thinking and just play football. I wonder why more teams just around football, we see this a lot, don't just play with more tempo early with young guys to not allow them to think as a quarterback and just, hey, you got to go out there and just play football.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of those things that, when used strategically, tempo can be a great tool. And I am not anti-tempo. I am anti reckless tempo, just tempo and tempo. I think it's a weapon that offenses can use to keep defenses on their heels, especially if it fits the scheme and the personnel. But I think it is, a credit to, Jack's ability to get into a rhythm. Some good play calling by Zach. I thought that decision to run the ball with Joe there on the plus side of the 50 was a great play call. We still had our timeouts to use, or 2 of our timeouts to use. And, I'll also follow that up by, I think, a critical piece to our 4-quarter success against Eastern Illinois was our ability to control the clock and win the time of possession and wear our opponent out. We talked in our team meeting today. It's complementary football. A few 3-and-outs on defense. Those 3-and-outs can be powerful to offense's ability to start wearing an opponent out. So, not anti-tempo. I think strategically used as a weapon, it's something that we'll certainly continue to evaluate.
Do you have injury updates for Carmine Bastone, Jordan Knox, or Anto Sacco?
Yeah, specifically, Carmine, we anticipate, him to continue to progress throughout this week, and how that progression goes will dictate whether or not he'll be available for Saturday. Kind of a fickle thing. We certainly feel confident that Carmine will be back. I know Carmine would have liked to have been back 2 weeks ago. We're just being smart with that progression. I would anticipate and hope that Anto will be available Saturday, but we'll know more once we get through, tonight's practice and Tuesday's practice, and Jordan, just day-to-day in that evaluation right now.
Coach, you talked on Monday and Tuesday about how important it was for Jack to play within the offense, take care of the football, and now he's going up against a Washington defense that, while it's been solid, hasn't forced a lot of turnovers. What are you looking for out of Jack to protect the ball and make sure that he has another turnover-free day?
Yeah, just, value the football, make wise decisions, trust his reads, make confident throws, but value the football, not try and push and try and do things that the defense isn't making available. We won the turnover margin against Eastern Illinois. The Cats are at their best when we're doing that. We need to make sure that continues.
Anything else for Coach? Yeah, last one.
Coach, on Saturday night, the student section was filled all the way to the tops already. Class is still in start for another week. Could you feel the difference with students back on campus? And now that it's move-in day and it's really getting going, what are you most excited about when you come home to Indiana, the Wildcat Dash, and all those fun activities are going on here?
Just excited for more of it. I mean, it was so awesome to see. Yeah, I've said it to our recruits. I've said it to fans. I've said it to family. Was just so excited for our students to be back on campus, and now really excited for them to be back in full force. And especially at this intimate venue that we have, cannot wait for them to fully engage. Whether or not they have a ticket in the seats in the student section or they're just part of the pregame and festivities. I mean, there's so many opportunities for our students to engage, and that's what makes college football so special. So really, really looking forward to everyone being back.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.